instead of doing my family business, I decided to do something on my own. And when I was president of Delhi University Students' Union, I was invited for an international student conference in Japan. So the vice chancellor wanted to, give me the ticket to go to Japan. But we, as I mentioned, were anti-establishment. So we didn't want people to say that I've been bought over by the university. So I said, I'll go to my father and I'll ask him for the ticket. But my father had suffered a huge loss because he used to import books. Those days, when the dollar was 4 rupees, he had an import license of 9 lakh rupees. So he used to get books on 60 days credit. And all of a sudden, the dollar had devalued, rupee had devalued, and dollar from 4 became 8. So he really suffered. He was on the verge of bankruptcy, and with great difficulty, he was able to pull himself out. He even had a mild heart attack. So he said, son, I can't afford it. So what we did is, a lot of my friends said, we'll contribute. I said, no, I don't want anyone's contribution. But then I went to a company, Mercury Travel. There was one Mr. Sundar Singh, poor fellow is dead now. He was the GM.
Okay.
So he said, if you collect 15 people, I'll give you the 16th ticket free.
Okay.
So that's what I did. And I went on a free ticket. And that was my first trip abroad. And I also made 1,000 rupees per person commission. So I told all my friends, because one thing my father had told me, that you have to be very honest in your life. And honesty is the best policy. So I told them that, look, I'm making 1,000 rupees per person. So if you want, I'm ready to share 500 rupees with you. So none of the students who were there took the money, except one of them. And then I went to Japan. I remember Cathay Pacific used to fly from Calcutta via Hong Kong and Taipei to Tokyo and Osaka. Our meeting was in Osaka.
Okay.
So we went on Air India to Calcutta and then on Cathay Pacific to Osaka. And that is how my whole Japan trip is one full chapter in my book. So I
Okay.
won't talk about that. That was also very interesting. How nationalist the Japanese people are and
Right.
how to be punctual and how to be nationalistic, I learned from them. So I said, this is good business because it works. When we were in debt, I was working part-time. Even as president of Delhi University, I used to go down, I had an all-route pass in DTC, and I used to have 2 bundles of books and sell books to the libraries. And also then I bought a scooter and I used to have a bundle of books. And I used to, I was never ashamed of doing hard work, or even as president to pick up bundles of books and sell them. Because that's another thing I learned from my father, that you should not feel ashamed of any work, even if you're cleaning the toilets. But if you're doing anything which is anti-national, which will bring a bad name to your country or your family or the organization you work for, or which is dishonest, basically, you should feel ashamed of that.
So,
And so I was not ashamed of hard work. And but then I realized that books mein to itni kamai hai nahi, and we have to give credit. Isme, with 1 month of work as a freelance, I was able to make 15,000 rupees.
जी.
So this was the first group I took in 70, then the second group I took in 71. And then in 1971, I was invited to an international conference on youth unrest in Paris. But the venue shifted to Israel, Tel Aviv, and we didn't have diplomatic relations with Israel. So I was refused that you can't go, because हमारा जो passport है उस ज़माने में, it was written valid for all these countries, सबके नाम लिखे होते थे except South Africa, Israel and Taiwan, because that
Okay.
time we didn't recognize Taiwan.
Acha.
Uh, so, so it was not valid for Israel. So
Okay.
it was impossible to get a passport valid for Israel. And to attend an international conference of UNESCO, we had to get clearances from Ministry of Education, Ministry of External Affairs, and Ministry of Finance. And there was only 1 week for the conference to start. So within these 1 week, I was able to get all the clearances. In the last, I had gone to the Ministry of Finance, and I remember one Mr. Kaul used to be the Joint Secretary. He refused. Then I gate crashed into one Mr. YT Shah, who was Secretary Ministry of Finance. That time the security itni nahi hoti thi.
जी.
So he said, look, he's my colleague, I can't overrule him, but you're justified. But you try to uh, do something. So when I was coming out, fortunately, I saw Mrs. Gandhi coming in, and she recognized me because uh, I had collected 1 lakh rupees for the National Defense Fund and given it to her during the Indo-Pak War. So she recognized me. She had come to the campus, and she said, Subhash, what are you doing here? So, Subhash, kya kar rahe ho? I told her the story. I said, look, I'm being discriminated against. This man has sent his son, because I remember his son had, that is how I had gone reference and met him, was in Delhi Public School, and he had gone in abroad in experiments in international living. So I said, look, we are not given an opportunity. So he said, what do you want? I said, I want that passport for Israel should be issued to me, and I should be given permission. So he immediately called one of his secretary and said, "Ki inka kaam karo."
Okay.
So then his secretary said, you come to such and such room in the Parliament House.
Mhm.
He was going to see off Mrs. Gandhi.
Mhm.
So I went and waited for him. He went and saw, and then sitting on the table, I got all the clearances, and
Okay.
I'm the first Indian who got an official special passport issued for Israel.
Wow.
And that time we didn't have an Israeli consulate, so there was on I think it was 50 Pedder Road. There was an Israeli consulate for Jews of Maharashtra, which the Maharashtra government had allowed. So there I got a visa on my special passport, and I took a TWA flight. Used to fly from Bombay via Rome to Tel Aviv.
Okay.
So I took that flight. I went on a one-way ticket because I had a letter that UNESCO would pay for my return ticket.
Okay.
Again, it's a long story how no one came to receive me, and I had a letter from ML Sufi to people friends of Israel. Then I got lift, and two young beautiful girls gave me lift. Young, unmarried, and I was wanting to flirt with them. But then I saw that both of them had machine guns with them. They were soldiers. तो मैंने कहा सुभाष
खुश
जाना
होने
तो
की
जाना.
जरूरत नहीं है.
So then I kept quiet, and then they took me to the professor's house, who gave me food, shelter, and gave me a sweater also, because I was not prepared. I thought it would be a hot place. And then I was driven next day to Jerusalem, I think Hilton or Sheraton Hotel, beautiful room. So this was a UNESCO conference,
Okay.
and they were all talking about genocide in Biafra and all that stuff. So when my turn came to speak, I was given a briefing by the Ministry of External Affairs, because we didn't recognize Israel, and we were supporting Palestine at that time. And, we were close to the Arab states. So they said, "Aap Palestine ke baare mein don't speak anything, but you talk about the genocide that is taking place in Bangladesh." So when my turn came, I said, I admire the Jews, but just like your sisters were raped in front of your eyes, and your children were butchered in front of your eyes, and your mother and parents were tortured, I said, our sisters are being raped by the Pakistanis, and our mothers are being tortured, and children are being butchered, and this is not happening to 1 million or 2 million. I said this is happening to 12 million refugees who have run away from East Pakistan and are on our borders as refugees. That time we had 12 million refugees. So Zubin Mehta was listening to my program. I gave a very emotional speech. So, so he was very impressed. So he donated the entire proceeds of his. He's an Indian of American origin and was performing in Israel, and he's Jewish. So he gave his proceeds, and then they wanted. I said no, because I was a guest of the University of Israel, so Jerusalem. So I told them that you make a committee, and that professor who had given me shelter, I said let him be the chairman of. He was a very like a most respected professor of Israel. So he became the chairman, and later on I got a message that they had collected about 1 million Israeli pounds, which they had donated for UNESCO for providing relief to Bangladesh children. So there, the ticket was, return ticket which I had to take from UNESCO. I'm coming very shortly. I'm cutting everything short because these are all, one war stories. So I realized that I think it was 300 or 400 pounds, the return ticket, full fare economy. People in India didn't know about student tickets. So I realized that there was a student body, ISTA, Israeli student on Rinni's Road in Jerusalem. They had a student charter from Tel Aviv to London, Gatwick, which was only 110 pounds. And then there was this Jewish guy who was the president of the University of London Union, who was there at the same conference. He said, you can get a cheap ticket from London for 250 pounds. So if you're getting 500 pounds or something, you will still save 200-300 pounds if you go via London. So I said, good idea. So we went to the British embassy in Jerusalem, and those days Commonwealth nationals didn't need a visa for UK. So they gave me a printed form. So I took that printed form, took the student charter, and landed at Gatwick Airport. And I had a one-way ticket, and I had a letter from Brian Clark, University of London Union, that I will be their guest in London. And I had 300 or 400 pounds, which was, after taking out from 500 pounds, 110 pounds, I had 480 or 90 pounds I had. So I said, this is enough to buy my return ticket. But they said, sorry, we can't give you the visa. So being a student leader those days, I sat down in the immigration and I started raising slogans. I said, you are discriminating against me. When you came to my country, you came without a visa. Why are you denying me? You looted my country. I'm not looting your country. I said, I'll call a press conference. So they had a meeting amongst themselves. And then they gave me a 6 months entry. So Brian Clark was waiting for me. He took me and we went to Tottenham Court Road. There was a student hostel. He booked me there. I think it was 3 or 5 pounds a day or something like that with bed and breakfast. So there I got some training with the National Union of Students Travel Service. They used to operate charters from London to this, but they were not operating any charters to India. And finally, I went and bought an Egypt Air ticket of 250 pounds or 300 pounds back to India. So I have another very interesting story, how I lost all my money by Find the Jack and all that stuff. So I won't go into that. For that, you have to read my book. And then,
definitely.
when I came on Egypt Air, there was a 24-hour halt in Paris. And I said, look, I have to visit the Eiffel Tower. But we didn't have any France visa or anything. But after after paying for the ticket, I had about 70 or 80 pounds left with
Okay.
me. So I converted them into half of them into francs, and I
Achha.
left my bag in the left luggage room.
Mhm.
Took out my overcoat because it was cold in Paris. I
Mhm.
hitchhiked and went to Champs-Élysées, uh,
Champs-Élysées.
Champs-Élysées or whatever you call it.
जी
So I had
जी
the most wonderful time there, and then saw the Eiffel Tower, and then the restaurants were very expensive,
जी.
and then I went to a store which
Mhm.
was cheap. It was
Mhm.
cheaper to buy a bottle of wine and a loaf of bread.
Mhm.
So वहाँ bench पे बैठ के I was remember killing Khalil Gibran a bottle of wine and a loaf of bread. वो
जी.
कर करा के I uh, mm, had enough money to take a taxi. So
Okay.
I sold my air ticket and I
Mhm.
told the taxi driver, Avion.
Mhm.
He said, CCV, or he took me in the taxi
जी.
and he was driving and driving. I said, it's not so far. Finally, he
Mhm.
took me to an airport which was bigger and brighter. And I went there and I realized that this is Orly Airport and my flight was from Le
अच्छा
Bourget.
because from
Le
the
Bourget.
Bourget. Okay. Le Bourget.
Charles de Gaulle
Okay.
was not built those
But
days.
not. Yeah. Okay.
So it was from Le Bourget. Le Bourget
Le
was the
Bourget.
chief of the charter airport.
Okay.
So there was no
Okay.
counter of EgyptAir there. Finally, I found an Air India counter. And by the time I paid to the taxi, I had hardly, I think, 50 or 20 francs left with me. And,
Okay.
and I didn't have money to even take a taxi to go to La Bourget. And by the time the flight was closed, so
Mhm.
I saw a person in Air India counter who recognized me. He says, "Are you
Okay.
Subhash Goyal, who was our president of Delhi University?" I said, "Yes." So he said,
Okay.
"What are you doing here?" So I told him my story, and he said, "Look," he wrote down the address of a youth hostel, and he gave me a bus number. He says, "You take that bus." And I said, "But this is all the money I have."
Mhm.
So he said, he gave me, I think, few hundred francs, and he
अच्छा,
said, "No."
okay.
And he says, "I'll take it from you in India. I trust you. And this is my address. When you come to India, you give it to me." I said, "Fine." I said, "I'll give it to you in rupees." He said, "No problem." So I took a bus. I landed up late at night in the youth hostel. And fortunately, I was given a bed. And that was very interesting because it was a mixed youth hostel of boys and girls.
Okay.
And we had limited money. And we had a lot of fun. I made a lot of girlfriends. And we used to, uh, not in a bad way, but we had a lot of, we were eating, drinking, dancing together. And
Mhm,
we had
mhm.
a lot of, this, what do you call, our breakfast was unlimited. So all of us used to have a bag with us. So
Mhm.
ande, makhan, double roti
जी,
for lunch. We used to put the lunch
जी.
over there. So I had the most wonderful time with me in Paris. And uh, uh, I used to drink those days, so I used to always have a hangover and
Okay.
always a hand in a beautiful girl. And we were like two, three boys and girls, and we used to have a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And then finally, I was able to go again. I was 7 days because Egypt Air flew only once a week, so I had to go
Okay.
for 7 days.
Okay, you have to.
So
You were
those were the
forced to have fun for 6 days.
they were the six most wonderful days of my life. And again, details in my book. Then I reached
Mhm.
the airport, and when La Bourget airport, and
Mhm.
when I was checking in, they
Mhm.
refused. I had overstayed. They
अच्छा.
said something in French that I'm going to be arrested.
Okay.
So, and I couldn't speak a word of French.
Mhm.
So fortunately, and I was telling him in English, your Frenchman taxi driver cheated me. He took me to Orly instead of this, and this is my ticket for the left luggage. My luggage, they used to charge 1 franc, and the key they used to give. So the key used to be with you, and you put the key, and the luggage used to open. So fortunately, there was a American couple behind me in the line who knew French and English. So they
Okay.
understood my story. They explained to him in French, and I think this guy was like a diplomat or something. So he showed his ID card or something, and then they said,
Okay.
they gave me, they allowed me. Then I went and got my baggage, and I was the first to check in on the Egypt Air flight.
Okay.
Then we landed in Cairo, and Cairo. One thing I must tell you, that I was not carrying the Israeli passport and the Israeli newspapers. I had deposited them in the Indian High Commission to be sent by diplomatic mail, because I was told that if I'm caught with anything Israeli, then they can put me behind bars, because I think Egypt was also at war with Israel those days. So that time I had learnt in London about ticketing and tour conductor and all that stuff, and ITAR and all that. So there was a group of, I think, 15-20 people who were on training of HMT, and they were on the same flight, and we were not, because again it was a cheap flight. We were not given any over. So I collected everyone together, and we started making noise, shouting, raising slogans. So they gave us the Sheraton Hotel in Egypt.
Okay.
But then Egypt ke gate pe there used to be these taxi drivers who were saying, pyramids, pyramids, pyramids. So I said that pyramids are one of the wonders of the world. I've seen the Eiffel Tower. Let's see the pyramids. So I went and told I said, who's your leader? So he gave me the leader. So I said that, look, we are 15 people. So I'll give you 15 people. How much you charge? So Israeli pounds were very cheap. I think for $1 you got 10 or 12 Israeli pounds or something like that.
Okay.
So whatever, I don't remember the amount. So he was charging, I think, 100 Israeli pounds, and he said, I will give you 10 pounds per person as commission, 10% commission.
Okay.
So plus your trip will be free.
Okay.
So I made another about 150 as a tour leader, and I got my tour of Egypt free. And then we were in Sheraton Hotel, and then early morning they took us back, and whatever little shopping I did in the duty free at Egypt airport, I bought a camera, I bought some whiskey and all those things, because in Paris and London I didn't have money to buy anything. So I bought something for my family, friends and all with that money. And finally, because landed in Bombay, I could not take an Indian Airlines flight because Delhi airport was closed because the war was still on with Pakistan. And so I stayed with a friend in Bombay. I had some address, and he bought my whiskey bottles, and he gave me some money. So those days there were Iranian restaurants in Bombay. For 5 rupees you could get a meal. So after a few days, I think I got a train ticket to Delhi, and I reached Delhi safe. Then